everybody. Welcome back. We are here in November 2023, and you are in the Idea Networking session. My name is Sharon Chaden-Burks, and I'm an instructional designer for Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio. And I have not always done that. Before that, let's see, I've been doing this for 4 years now. So before that, I was a teacher of ESL for international students in higher education settings. And I am so happy to bring two new guest speakers to you today. Oyindamola, Ojo-Eriamiatoe. I think that was pretty good. And then we also have Antoinette Davis. It's a lot easier to say. I'm more familiar with that name. I think Oyindamola will go first, and then Antoinette will follow her.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me, Sharon. I'm really delighted to be here today. My name is Oyindamola Ojo-Eriamiatoe. I'm Nigerian, but I'm based in the UK. And so it's midnight right here, right now. I'm super excited to be here. So I'm an e-learning designer. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I'm also the founder of the E-Learning Designers Hub Africa. It's an initiative to help people transition into instructional design in Africa. My journey into instructional design is actually kind of different from most people because I don't have a teaching background. My background is, it's okay, Sharon. So my background is in event design. I actually have a picture here that I wanted to show you to have an idea of what I used to do. Just give me a moment. Where is it? So I used to be an event designer, which means I set up spaces for event decoration and all that. So I ran a very successful business as an entrepreneur for almost 15 years. And it got to a point that the job was becoming really physically demanding for me. And I was already thinking of a change of career. But then I still kept doing it until COVID hit. And I wasn't able to work because my job really depended on social gatherings. And that was the opportunity I had to explore other opportunities, especially in tech. I'd been thinking of transitioning to tech. And the first thing that came to mind then was to create, think of how I could generate revenue for myself. And I came across being able to create a course and sell then. So I enrolled for a program where I learned how to use an LMS, how to create courses, and I hosted a course that was in website design because I had skills in website design. Then I had a lot of people in my community that needed to take their businesses online, and I was able to help a number of people. And one of the things I also did during COVID was to organize a webinar that lasted for 6 weeks, in which we had over 300 participants that wanted to learn how to start a business and how to grow their businesses. We had about 15 subject matter experts that taught them in digital skills, soft skills, and it was such, a successful program. And, what really intrigued me so much about the program was the use of technology. That was when I found out about Zoom, so many tech tools that I could use to host a course. Before COVID came, I was already thinking of how to expand my reach because I used to organize training programs as an event decorator. I used to train employees of people in the industry, my colleagues, in skills, but it was face-to-face. And I was already thinking of how I could expand my reach. And this, I just fell in love with the technology and the fact that I could create courses and I could deliver to a lot of people and virtually as well. I could work remotely, and then I made up my mind that that was what I was going to do. And this happened in Nigeria. I came to the UK in 2021 for my master's in management and entrepreneurship. But I also enrolled for a course in digital learning design with an organization known as Digital Learning Institute in the UK, and I learned more about instructional design and e-learning design. And then I started applying for, no, okay, sorry. Prior to that, I started applying for jobs. I was applying for all manner of jobs, project management, customer service, advisor, and all that. And I was just applying for all manner of jobs, which I couldn't get a job at that time because most of the jobs I got were full-time openings, but because I was a student, I could only do part-time, 20 hours a week. So one day I just stumbled on instructional design, e-learning design. I didn't even know there was anything like that, even though I'd created courses in the past. And I was just like, okay, what is this? So I looked at it, and there were some terms I did not understand, and there were some things I understood. So I did more research about scenario-based learning, gamification, and I went on LinkedIn and I opted for the premium LinkedIn profile, and I was able to learn a lot of things. I started watching videos on how to attend an interview and be successful as an instructional designer. I started, I joined communities like Delvin Peck's community, and I just exposed myself to so many resources. And then I was able to land my first job as a learning management system admin in the UK. And that was how I started my journey in the corporate. It was a contract role. And when that role ended, I also got another job in e-learning design with a non-profit organization that helps people to start their businesses in tech. And, in a nutshell, that has been my journey as an instructional designer. Thank you.
I love what you said about the finding a need, like you're talking about making a course for business students. Yeah. I mean, that's just that is instructional design, is finding a need, knowing a population, knowing the content they need, and then being able to deliver it. And it's so gratifying, like you said, to be able to deliver content to a lot more people than what you can do in just face-to-face.
Yeah. And, I wasn't really aware of what instructional design was. And so I was just doing my thing because of the passion that I have for helping people to acquire skills that could make them better, and which is one of the reasons I started the e-learning design academy Africa now, which is an initiative to help people in Africa transition into instructional design. I won't say I have a lot of years of experience in instructional design, just about 3 years, but I believe that with that, for me to be able to achieve what I did, I can also help other people achieve the same. I just have that passion, and that's why even back then during COVID, when everybody was thinking of how they could survive, and I also was thinking of how to survive, but the first time I discovered an opportunity, I thought I should help other people achieve the same. It's just a passion for me. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I felt the same way, which is why I started these sessions. And I did not know I would still be doing it, 3 years later, but it fills my cup. Yeah. Antoinette, I am going to hand it off to you.
All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Antoinette Marie Davis. I'm an instruction designer, and my path from teaching to instruction design was actually strategic. I've been teaching in higher ed mathematics for over 20 years. And after a layoff, I said, I think I need to do something besides just teaching, because it was at the start of the pandemic, jobs were being cut and so on and so forth. So I learned about instructional design based on courses that I took online. And also I had a mentor. And over time, I was able to land my first role at Brush University in instruction technology, and later go into the corporate world at Nordstrom as a learning developer. In that role, I was able to build my very first app, which is the most exciting thing that I've done in a very long time. And also after that, I became a business owner. So I do real estate. So I can say my transition between teaching and instructional design was actually a pretty smooth transition. It was way more than learning tools. It was more about learning how to set up objectives, understand what it means to actually meet with faculty members when it comes to setting up their courses, and also being open to learning new things, because as the role changes, as instructional design changes, you have to be willing to change with it. Thank you.
How did you find, you mentioned mentorship. How did you find, was it through your work? How did you find that mentorship?
Actually, I had been working with a lady in her company for a few years, and she told me that she was starting up a business, and she asked me to come in on the ground floor, and I did. And as a result of that, I was able to work with her to find out what are the basics that I needed to know. And she told me I didn't need a full degree. All I would need is maybe a couple courses or certificates, so on and so forth. And she turned me on to the UMGC certificate in instructional design. And I believe it's like 800 or 850, something like that for the whole thing. And it's only 4 courses. So I'm 3 courses in and I have 1 more left. So that's how I got into it. And I started just asking her questions on previous courses that she took. And she was able to help me to revamp my resume to get my first role.
That is, I mean, that's so awesome to have someone to kind of walk alongside you, especially like when you're like, what are we doing now?
Yeah,
Mhm.
would she put the link for that in the chat? Antoinette, would you put the link for
Yes.
that in the chat? Thank you, ma'am.
I sure can. Sure.
For the
Thanks.
courses that you're taking right now?
Yeah, at University of Maryland University College.
Yes, it's an
But they've
edX
changed
course.
their name. They've changed to University of Maryland Global, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. But this program is through edX. That's why it's so inexpensive.
Okay. I've heard of that.
It'd be great to have that link. Thank you.
There's a link.
All right. Okay, well, one thing, we have time for it too. One of my previous guest speakers, she opened an Etsy shop and she has a bunch of instructional design gear. And I took a look at it and I've got a shirt from her website. So I asked if it was okay for me to share her store, and she said, oh yeah, sure, and I'll even give you a discount code. So this is her shop. It's called Marley Creative. She just added these cats coffee instructional design. Oh, it's just so adorable. I bought this. It didn't arrive in time, but one of the ideas I gave her was, hey, can you make some like little frames with inspirational quotes in it? So she did that. She added those to her store. Got some really cute stuff here. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that while we're all here together. So I will drop the link into the chat. It's also on the agenda, but if you want that direct link there, and that should take you to a site with all that 20% coupon already applied. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So don't forget to check out Melissa's Marley Creative Etsy shop for some instructional design gear. I also wanted to share with you, if you've never seen this before, this is a presentation I gave at TESOL 2022. It's about starting a career in instructional design. And its main audience is just people who are just getting into this idea of transitioning into instructional design. So if that's where you are, this is probably perfect for you. The next time that we are going to meet is Tuesday, December 5th, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And I will drop the registration link in the chat. So if you want to join us in December, please do. Would love to hear how's it going. All right, and now I'm going to open it up for questions. So you can feel free to unmute yourself if you want to put it in the chat, if that's more comfortable for you. I'll read it out loud. Erica has her hand up.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was just
No problem.
getting settled. So I just decided to jump on time, but I was getting settled. So that's why you didn't hear from me earlier. But this is a great opportunity just to be able to come on and talk in a smaller group. I am a teacher. I'm a special education teacher. I teach blind and visually impaired students how to read Braille, technology, as well as orientation mobility. I attended the edX program. Well, I went on edX and took the global program through University of Maryland. And so I received my instructional design certificate maybe a month or so ago. So I guess my question, or what I wanted to just throw out there is coming from education and transitioning into ID. I know that's like a big topic. What would be the best way to approach that? Do I need to upskill a little bit more? Because I feel like most of the positions probably wouldn't hire me because I'm just a teacher. Ooh. And I'm applying for instructional design. So I don't know how to bridge that gap.
Well, I will say, you know, from my own experience, I undervalued the experience that I was bringing in to the job, and I didn't realize how valuable it really was to the people that I ultimately started working with, because this job, people come to it from so many different backgrounds. It's not like I don't know, science teachers, you know. It's instructional design. People come to this degree. We didn't even know it existed. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a field that everybody knows about. So I think talk about your experience like it's a thing that you're proud of, and you should be, because you do. We were just talking in our breakout rooms about how teachers do so much more than an instructional designer does. That the scope of what you work on as an instructional designer is actually a lot smaller. And yeah, there's different skills and, you know, software, and you specialize in things. But I don't sell yourself short on what you're bringing into the job, because you're an expert, probably, I'm just guessing, if you're a teacher, in project management, in time management, and assessing needs. That's like a critical skill for being a teacher, is being able to, you know, understand your audience, your students, see what their needs are, find materials to meet their needs and assess them. That's what instructional designers do. So there's my cheer for you, Erica, you know. But bring it back to what you were saying about what do I do first. I think the very first thing that I would recommend is reading job descriptions and finding out what you're interested in, because there's a lot of different kinds of jobs and they do not all look the same. An e-learning developer is different than a learning designer, is different from an instructional designer, is different from content, you know, creator or content writer. So read the jobs and figure out, is that something I'm actually interested in? And I know there is part of our brain that's like, how much money do those people make? Which is also important, but if you don't really care about doing it, you can just rule that out. So that would be my advice, is take a look at the job descriptions.
Thank you.
Yeah, Antoinette or Oyindamola?
Yeah, just before you mentioned about job descriptions, I was going to say that's actually very good. That was how I started. I saw job descriptions and some of the terms, I didn't understand them. Then I walked backwards to go and understand what gamification meant, what scenario-based learning means, what SCOM compliance and all those things meant. And then I did more training about them. And then eventually I went for a proper certificate in it. So job descriptions. Another thing that really helped me was the fact that I joined a community. Devlin Peck and Tim Slade are two communities that I encourage anyone to join. If you follow Devlin Peck, you're going to be able to have access to a lot of mock interviews that he has done, where he showcases the kind of questions that that interviewers would ask you and how to answer them. And there are many other resources on YouTube for that as well. And what Tim Slade does is to have a monthly project in which you can use your skill to design content on different topics in order to build your portfolio, and it's free. So I think you should start with those two. Watch all their videos, especially Devlin Peck. Watch all his videos. Tim Slade is more of technical teaching. Tim Slade teaches more about technical stuff. You may not want to start with that. Start with Devlin, and like Sharon said, there are different roles in instructional design. So you want to understand where your strength is, need analysis, and create understanding outcomes. You probably have that skill from teaching, project management. You have that skill from teaching. You want to find out if you really have much skill in technical stuff like learning management system administration and content development. So you want to create a niche for yourself and just stick to what your strength really is in. And when you're creating your portfolio, one of the things that I learned from, I think, Tim Slade, one thing it said that really stuck to me is that when you're creating your portfolio, let your portfolio showcase the kind of job that you want. Like I said earlier, you need to really identify where your strength is. Then in creating your portfolio, you want to emphasize where your strength is. And there's another interview that I listened to that says, okay, most instructional designers would always want to showcase their skill in the added process, right? Is there something else that a different skill that you have that is different from anyone else that will make them say, okay, she has something different? For example, I am an entrepreneur. If I come and say I have business acumen, apart from creating content, I know how I can ensure that we generate, the return on investments, is taken care of. That may be a plus for me. Do you have skills in data analysis, which not every instructional designer has? Something that will make your interviewers look at you and say, okay, this person is bringing something much more. And please stop saying that I'm just a teacher. When I heard that, I said, you're not just a teacher. Teachers do the most important jobs in the world. And please don't look down on yourself. I think that's the first starting point for you. It's called, I've forgotten that word that just went off my head. You need to understand, you need to believe in yourself and understand your value. If you don't communicate your value, nobody is going to see it. So please stop thinking I am just a teacher. Like Sharon said, you have different skills that you can bring to the table. I think, but one thing you really need to do is to try and learn more about what instructional designers do and what skills are required. When you know what skills are required, you're going to be able to see that you have a lot of those skills, and then you know what gap you need to fill. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for the motivation. I appreciate that.
Antoinette, do you want to add anything? We have a couple minutes left.
I think that overall, when it comes to instructional design, you have to really think about multiple things, just like we talked about in our group, in terms of a portfolio. You can know all that you need to know in terms of the jargon and be able to fill out the application. But if you don't have a portfolio that outlines the problem, the solution, as well as the actual application of what you're trying to solve, it's going to be difficult to get into the work world.
Okay, I'll work on that. And I guess to piggyback on that, if I only have my capstone project, how do I develop additional portfolio pieces? I know that you all just mentioned join, Devlin's community and some other opportunities, but like, do I need to seek out opportunities to make real, not like mock portfolio pieces, but real pieces, or are mock pieces also accepted?
I would create real portfolio pieces that you've actually used. And of course, you can come up with some topics, such as instructional design for brand new instructors. You can come up with different topics, but you have to be able to show that you can actually do that particular skill. So on my portfolio, I have Canva, I have Articulate Rise and Storyline, I have Adobe, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, so on and so forth. Look at some of the current job descriptions that are out there and create portfolio pieces around all of those.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any last questions in our couple minutes that remain?
Yeah, I have one.
Looking to see who's chatting.
No, it's Kendra.
Gotcha.
Antoinette just mentioned creating real pieces and then sharing them on the portfolio. I'm wondering, how is it viewed in the industry about proprietary content? If you're doing something, a real world project for an actual client, I've seen some people in mock interviews on the Devil Impact community say it's really taboo to put that, online, because you could be seen as, leaking a company's inside information. So how is that sort of viewed about putting actual clients' work on your portfolio?
When I say real portfolio pieces, I mean real portfolio pieces that you have created that are outside of proprietary. None of my portfolio has any proprietary information. These are all items that I created on my own for projects that I worked on that were outside of work.
Got it. Okay. So real, not for a real client, but like a demo project that you made.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah,
Or
if
I think with some real clients, if on the front end, you have an understanding with them that you are going to put it in your portfolio and you haven't signed a non-disclosure agreement, then that would be okay.
Yeah. And to add to that, I think one of the things you can do with such projects is to just take screenshots rather than putting in the complete project, screenshots of what you've done just to demonstrate that you've done it. Another thing you can do is to recreate the same type of project, but changing maybe the title, the names, and it doesn't reflect the name of the organization. But you explain your process, because when we are talking about a portfolio, what your portfolio really needs to reflect is your process, not necessarily the content you created. For example, you want to explain how you did your need analysis, what challenges did you have with the SMEs, how did you come up with the outcomes, without really writing the exact content that you created for your clients. You can just tweak things around to still talk about the same project, the process, but it's not really what you did for them.
All right, everybody, that brings us right to 8 o'clock. I am so grateful for our guest speakers today, Oyindamola and Antoinette. Thank you for being here and sharing your time and expertise. I'm always so appreciative when people come and share their time for people who are looking for the encouragement. And I will be the first to say, if you want to make the transition, it will happen. It will happen. You just stick with it. You keep applying. Somebody will want you. I promise you that. You just can't give up. I hope I see you all back here December 5th, and have a great night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.